How fast are you going? About 5 miles an hour?
Maybe a little bit faster, but
What's maximum?
about 15.
Yeah, I just think for safety, I'm going to have to undercrank most of this. I don't think you'll ever notice that we're going 18 frames a second. But the best angles for speed will be the side angles. Because that way you can go 8 miles an hour in this direction, and it'll look like you're going 50 miles an hour because this is so close, it strobes right by your peripheral vision. They certainly couldn't build the entire mine tunnel on 1, 2, or 4 sound stages. That would have been impossible. So what I decided to do with Elliot Scott, the production designer, was to just build a circular track on several levels. You really can't tell you're going over the same old territory, the same old dips and curves over and over again. And I found that if we changed the lighting on each turn and bathed a left-hand turn in yellow light, and later on in the sequence, we decided to bathe it in red light to disguise the fact we're using the same old, beaten path. The only problem with that is we've used that drop so many times.
Now then, what about this stretch right here?
That's too short for the lines. How about the curve that goes into the major straightaway?
Okay.
The curve that goes right down there to the straightaway.
Once these live-action pieces were completed, the shooting continued for 6 months at Industrial Light and Magic.
They built a miniature which had to match exactly to the full-scale one that was done here in England. And the difficult part was to put the two together
so the audience couldn't tell them apart.
These miniatures were made for this film for some of the scenes that we couldn't possibly find any way to do realistically with the real actors in them. To do it full size, for example, would have been probably the world's largest sets ever built for a motion picture. This way we could have what would appear on the screen to be a tunnel set a quarter of a mile long, in fact only be 50 or 60 feet long. The smaller the camera was, the smaller everything else could be. So the scale of it, in fact, was dictated by the size of the camera. We used a regular Nikon still camera, extensively modified to take 30 or 40 feet of film. It also can pan and can tilt so that while we're moving along through the tunnel, it's just like a real cameraman is doing, trying to follow the action. We shoot 1 frame of film while everything is advancing forward, while the camera's advancing forward, while the models are advancing forward. Then Tom Sanamon animates all the figures to make them look like they're real people moving around. Then we shoot 1 more frame of film, animate the figures again. Inside these are precision-made metal ball and socket joints. And then another frame. Tom might spend anywhere from 1 minute to 5 minutes per frame animating the figures. So it could take many hours to shoot one shot that might last 4 or 5 seconds on the screen. And if anybody can figure out what I just said, great.
Water!
The rope bridge sequence on its own was quite interesting insofar as it was shot on 3 different continents. We started it in Sri Lanka, continued it in England, and finished it in America, shooting in 3 different states. The way we kept it all together was by using the storyboards which Stephen had prepared before we started shooting.
And then snapping. Reactions, model ram, girl is stopped, he's stopped. Model ram goes out onto the bridge, pushes her out. This isn't a full day's work, by the way. This is a morning right here.
When we were scouting in Sri Lanka, we found the ideal location for our bridge in a gorge immediately adjacent to a large dam construction site with engineers and equipment capable of hanging our rope bridge.
Yeah, it's real scary. You mean we can cross here? I have a terrible case of acrophobia, and it really affected me the first time I stepped out on the rope bridge and looked down into the gorge about 350 feet below me. My fears were heightened by the wind, which caused the bridge to very gently sway even before I was on it. And then about halfway across the bridge, I totally chickened out and really wanted to turn back. Actually started to turn back, but then realized the end was as far away as the beginning, so I had to keep going. I had reached the point of no return.
The unit, so you'll have to get some stuff carried over the bridge, some rolls and stuff.
Yeah, you're going to see Harris in the middle and the two groups coming towards him. But it's a good shot because if the feet come in, he makes a counterclockwise pirouette. We go around him until we're over his shoulder onto the guy entering the bridge.
Okay, we're ready over here.
Where should we start?
Stand by.
Where do you want the dog mark for us?
Let me see the knife. Now, when I say knife, bring the knife up. Have it down at your chest. And I'll say knife. Good, lower, lower. Knife. Good, that's it.
Stand by.
Don't run, no, it'll shake the camera too much. Now, is this where these guys are supposed to be? That close to you to begin with?
No.
Well, let's start these guys behind you farther back. Go on back, fellas. Right there, guys. All right, here we go.
House quiet. Here we go.
Okay. All right, and action. Knife.
Get moving. Shorty. Chao Chi. Lapsu Sansa.
No, lady, we go for wide.
Oh my God!
Cutting of the rope bridge was a one-shot deal. It was one take, and that was it. If we didn't get it right the first time, we'd have to start all over again from scratch. So I placed numerous cameras in the river gorge, so I was sure that I had all the best angles covered. Well, so far, let's review the cameras. We've got Area with a 40. We've got the Panastar going about 48 frames a second up there with maybe a 50. Right. We got Garrett with the Steadicam up there, and we'll shoot, that'll probably be a 75. So that's 1, 2, 3 cameras.
We got one.
One down there is 4.
Shot is 4.
This division on the bridge is 5.
5.
6 will be on that side. Had to not only wait for the effects to be right and safe, but we had to wait for the sun to come out. And I remember George Gibbs rigging the cutters that were electronically explosive, and then rigging the dummies on the bridge. And at the last moment, George put dust all over the bridge, so when the bridge broke, there would be some residue, like a shadow of the bridge's former self. It was like a countdown, waiting to watch the space shuttle go up, knowing that everything rides in this one shot.
Okay, the brake's still clear, yes, at the moment? Up this side, left bank.